She spent 9 months by her best friend's side, doctor's appointments, baby showers, holding her hand through every contraction. Then she found out the baby's father was her own boyfriend, and that everyone around her had known for months. But that's not even the worst part. Let me introduce you to our storyteller. She's 33 now, happily married with 2 kids, and a life she genuinely loves. But to understand where she is today, we have to go back, all the way back to when she was 18, a senior in high school, and completely convinced that her life was exactly where it was supposed to be. She had it all figured out. She was living with her parents and 4 siblings. She had Kyle, her boyfriend of 3 years, 20 years old, 2 years into college, the guy she fully expected to marry. They talked about it openly. A wedding after graduation, a home, a future. Her parents adored him. And then there was Ashley, her best friend since literally birth. Their families had been close for decades, holidays together, birthdays, sleepovers, the whole thing. People used to joke that these two girls were permanently attached. And honestly, they kind of were. Here's the thing that makes this story so gutting from the very start. This wasn't a betrayal by strangers. These weren't people she barely knew. This was the 2 people she trusted most in the world, and when everything fell apart, it didn't fall apart the way you'd expect. It collapsed slowly, quietly, in the dark, while she had absolutely no idea. Stay with me, because this story gets so much deeper than a cheating scandal. This is about family, silence, and what it really means when the people who are supposed to protect you don't. It started with Ashley acting off, quieter than usual, distant. She wasn't herself, and our storyteller noticed immediately. Because when you've known someone your entire life, you feel those shifts before you can even name them. After a lot of gentle pushing, Ashley finally broke down and admitted it. She was pregnant. Now, our storyteller was surprised, sure. Ashley had recently broken up with her boyfriend, and there hadn't been any mention of someone new. When she asked who the father was, Ashley got vague. "It's my ex," she said. That was it. No name, no details. Just deflection wrapped in tears. And what did our storyteller do? She didn't push. She didn't demand answers. She just showed up. She showed up for 9 straight months, doctor's appointments, ultrasounds, nursery shopping, baby showers, late night panic calls, birthing classes. She was there for all of it. She even helped pick the baby's name, Sarah. Because that's what best friends do, right? You don't abandon someone when things get hard. You stay. So she stayed. Then came the afternoon that changed everything. She was at the mall, minding her own business, when she ran straight into Ashley's ex boyfriend, the one Ashley had implied was the father. And something snapped in her. 9 months of watching her best friend suffer, of seeing her exhausted and scared and alone, it boiled over. She went off on him. Right there, in the middle of the mall. How could you abandon her? She's 9 months pregnant with your child. The guy looked at her like she had 3 heads. "I have no idea what you're talking about." He told her, calmly, clearly, that he and Ashley had broken up over a year ago, that they hadn't spoken since, that there was absolutely no way that baby was his. And then he said something that stopped her cold. "Maybe you should go ask your friend Kyle." She brushed it off. Kyle? That made no sense. Kyle was her boyfriend. Kyle was practically family. Kyle and Ashley had grown up together. They were all just friends, nothing more. She filed the comment under bitter ex trying to stir up drama and went home. That evening, she was watching a movie with her younger sister, 14 at the time, and started venting about the weird encounter. And her sister just went quiet. No reaction, no, "Oh, that's crazy," just silence. After a moment, her sister said she needed to use the bathroom and disappeared. Something felt wrong. She went downstairs to grab a snack and heard her sister's voice, urgent, hushed, coming from the kitchen. She was talking to their mom, and what she heard next didn't just break her heart, it shattered her entire world. Her sister was telling their mom that she couldn't keep the secret anymore. The summer before, Kyle and Ashley had hooked up at a party. Ashley got pregnant, she told Kyle. And instead of telling her, the girlfriend, the best friend, the person who deserved to know more than anyone, they both panicked. They stayed silent. They let her believe a lie. But here's where it gets so much darker. Ashley eventually told her own parents, who told Kyle's parents, who told her parents, which means by the time Ashley was in her first trimester, everyone in both families knew. Her parents, her siblings, Kyle's entire family, Ashley's entire family. Every single person in her life knew the truth, and not one of them told her. For months, she had been going to appointments, decorating a nursery, throwing a baby shower, all for a baby her own boyfriend had fathered with her best friend. And every person around her smiled, nodded, and said absolutely nothing. The next few days are a blur in her memory. And honestly, that makes complete sense. She stopped eating. She couldn't get out of bed. Her phone was exploding with messages from Kyle and Ashley, from their parents, from everyone suddenly wanting to explain themselves. She saw none of it. She refused to open the door. Then Kyle's mother showed up at the house. Her own mother let her in. This woman sat on the edge of her bed while she lay there, hollowed out, and told her that Ashley and the baby needed her, that she had to find it in her heart to forgive. She said nothing, not a single word. A couple weeks later, Ashley went into labor. It was complicated, heavy blood loss, an emergency C-section, and Kyle, as it turned out, was there, at the hospital, for the birth of his child, with her best friend. That night, her older sister had gone to the hospital. Her other siblings were out, she was home alone with her parents, and all she wanted, the only thing she needed in that moment, was for her mom to sit with her, to hold her, to just be her mom. Instead, her mother got a phone call. And then she looked at her daughter, her 18-year-old daughter who was falling apart, and said she had to go. Ashley's family needed support. They'd talk later. "You're being selfish," she said on her way out the door. And just like that, she was alone. She sat in that empty house for a long time, just sitting, staring at nothing. The kind of stillness that comes when your brain genuinely cannot process what's happening to it. And then her phone buzzed. A text from her older sister. Ashley had a healthy baby girl. They named her Sarah. The name. Their name. The one she and Ashley had picked out together during one of those long, laughing afternoons that felt like friendship and felt like forever. Then a second text came through, almost immediately after. Her parents, Ashley's parents, and Kyle's parents were all heading to a bar. Together, to celebrate. She doesn't remember making the decision. She just remembers moving, opening her closet, pulling out a bag, her hands working on autopilot while some part of her brain quietly, clearly said, "I cannot stay here." She packed what she could carry, walked out the front door, got on a train, and she didn't look back. She ended up in Phoenix with almost nothing. No plan, no connections, barely any money. She found a hostel, got a job at a retail store, started figuring out how to finish high school on her own in a city where nobody knew her name. Her family flooded her phone. Her mom left voicemail after voicemail, frantic and furious. They filed a missing persons report. But she was 18, legally an adult, and she was done. It was in Phoenix that she met Dean. He was 21, also navigating a complicated family situation, also figuring out how to be a person without a blueprint. They became friends first, real friends, the kind you build from scratch when you have nothing else. He helped her get stable, introduced her to people, pushed her to finish school, let her cry when she needed to, and distracted her when she didn't. A year in, they started dating. When he inherited some money from his grandfather and decided to move across the country to a bigger city, he asked her to come with him. She hesitated. They hadn't been together long. They both had baggage. She wasn't even sure who she was anymore, let alone who they were as a couple. But she went. And it turned out to be the best decision she ever made. Shortly after her 21st birthday, they got married. She reflects on it honestly. She wasn't in love with him when they married. She loved him, absolutely. But the butterflies, The obsession, the can't eat, can't sleep feeling, that wasn't there at the start. What was there was something quieter and maybe more important: safety, consistency, someone who showed up. 12 years later, she says without hesitation that he is the love of her life. Two kids, a business they built together, a home that actually feels like one. She made it. But the past has a way of finding you. 15 years after she walked out of that house, she got a letter. Not from her mom, not from Kyle or Ashley, from a 14-year-old girl named Evelyn, her niece, her older sister's daughter, who happened to also be Kyle's brother's child, a teenager who had heard whispers about an aunt who disappeared and wanted to know her. She almost didn't respond, but something made her write back. Their correspondence stayed light: school, hobbies, life updates. Evelyn didn't know the full story and she wasn't about to explain it to a kid. But through those letters, she started getting glimpses of the family she'd left behind. 10 nieces and nephews she'd never met, her parents struggling financially, her brothers out of work. Then came the letter where Evelyn described just how hard the pandemic had hit everyone back home. And something shifted. She talked to Dean. He didn't hesitate. Whatever you need, I'm with you. They were in a stable place financially. They could help, so they did. And then, for the first time in 15 years, she flew home. The reunion with her parents was strange, emotional in ways that don't fit neatly into words. Relief, grief, awkwardness. Standing in a house that used to be hers, looking at parents who felt both familiar and completely foreign. They talked for hours. They agreed to try, slowly, carefully, to rebuild something. She felt, for the first time in a long time, like maybe there was a path forward. And then her mother pushed too far. She wanted her to sit down with Kyle and Ashley, not just acknowledge them, reconcile with them, get back to how things used to be: one big happy family, all forgiven, all forgotten. She said no, clearly, calmly, no. She wasn't asking her mother to cut them off. She wasn't demanding loyalty or ultimatums. She simply said, I have moved on from what they did. I hold no rage, but I have no desire to have them in my life, and that is my right. Her mother called her selfish, then, without telling her, gave her phone number to Kyle's mother, who called and demanded she meet with them because apparently her return was causing tension in their marriage. She hung up, called her mom, confirmed what happened. Her mother didn't apologize. She doubled down, crying, yelling, calling her selfish again, saying she just wanted her family back, the family she'd chosen over her own daughter. 15 years ago, and apparently still now. She hung up again. The calls didn't stop. From her mother, from Kyle's mother, message after message, day after day, and slowly, dangerously, she started to wonder: was she being unreasonable? Was she the problem? After all this time, was holding this boundary just stubbornness? Here's what she missed in that moment of doubt, and what becomes crystal clear in the updates she shares later. Her mother never once apologized, not for knowing and staying silent, not for leaving her alone that night, not for going to celebrate at a bar while her daughter sat home destroyed, not for giving out her number without permission, not for choosing again and again and again everyone else over her own child. Instead, she weaponized guilt. She blamed her daughter for her own stress, her health problems, her friendships falling apart. When her granddaughter was born, the calls escalated to over 100 a day. Messages every 20 minutes, 100 calls a day. When she finally broke down and had a real conversation with her father, the first honest one in nearly 20 years, something changed. She doesn't know exactly what happened between her parents after that call, but in August, her father filed for divorce, and by that point, not one of her five siblings was speaking to their mother. Not one grandchild knew her. She had dismantled every relationship she had, one manipulation at a time, and somehow still believed she was the victim of her daughter's selfishness. As for Kyle and Ashley, they got married 4 years after she left, had two more kids. Then, according to her brother in law, Kyle's own brother, they separated, maybe divorced. Nobody's entirely sure. Ashley wrote her a letter. It was passed through the brother in law. She never opened it. It's sitting with her therapist right now, waiting for a day when she might be ready. Maybe she will be. Maybe she won't. That's entirely her call. So let's just sit with this for a second. At 18 years old, this young woman lost everything in a single night: her boyfriend, her best friend, her sense of home, and maybe most painfully, her belief that the people who were supposed to love her unconditionally actually would. She didn't lose those things because of a mistake she made. She didn't lose them because she was difficult or selfish or unreasonable. She lost them because the people around her decided that their own comfort, their friendships, their family dynamics, their carefully maintained social circles mattered more than her right to the truth. They chose convenience over her, and then, 15 years later, when she finally found the courage to come back, they asked her to do it again, smile through it, make peace, pretend, for the sake of what exactly? So that everyone else could feel better about what they did? Here's the thing that gets me about this story: people keep calling her selfish. Her mother said it, Kyle's mother implied it. Even she started to believe it for a moment. That awful gaslit spiral of maybe I'm the problem, and I want to address that directly. Selfishness is not the same as self preservation. There is nothing selfish about refusing to re enter relationships that nearly broke you. There is nothing selfish about building a new life after the old one was taken from you. There is nothing selfish about saying, I forgive you in my heart, but I don't want you in my future. That is not selfishness. That is survival. That is wisdom. That is what healing actually looks like. Not a dramatic confrontation, not a tearful group hug where everyone pretends the past didn't happen. Sometimes healing looks like a closed door and a quiet life on the other side of it. And look at what she built on the other side of that door: a husband who has shown up for her completely, consistently for over a decade, a man who drove across the country with her, who helped pay for her education, who held her together when she was falling apart, and never once made her feel like a burden for it. A man she didn't fall for immediately but grew to love in the deepest, most unshakable way. Three kids who are growing up in a home built on actual love and actual honesty, a career, a business, a sense of self she carved out entirely on her own terms. She didn't just survive, she thrived. Now, what about her mother? This is the part of the story that I think deserves more than just a passing judgment. Her mother is not a cartoon villain. She's a woman who desperately wanted to hold something together that was already broken: a vision of family, of friendship, of the life she had built. And when that vision started crumbling, she did the worst possible thing a parent can do. She prioritized the vision over the child. She kept a secret that wasn't hers to keep. She left her daughter alone on the worst night of her life to go celebrate with the people who caused it. She spent years trying to manipulate her back into a dynamic that had already proven toxic. And when none of that worked, she escalated: calls, messages, guilt, blame, until she had driven away not just one child, but all five of them. Not one of her kids talks to her now. Not one grandchild knows her. That's not her daughter's fault. That's a lifetime of choices catching up to one person all at once. And nobody, including her daughter, is happy about that. The letter from Ashley is still unopened. I think about that a lot. A sealed envelope sitting in a therapist's office, full of words that have been waiting 15 years to be read. Maybe it's an apology. Maybe it's an explanation. Maybe it's something she never expected. She'll read it when she's ready, or she won't. Either way, that choice belongs entirely to her. She earned that right the moment everyone else in her life decided her feelings were negotiable. What this story really comes down to, what I think we can all take from it, is something deceptively simple. Silence is a choice, and choices have consequences. Every single adult in that story made a choice to stay silent, and every single one of them told themselves they were doing it to protect someone, protect the friendship, protect the families, protect the peace. But what they were really protecting was themselves, their comfort, their version of normal, the only person who paid the price for all that protection was an 18-year-old girl who had done absolutely nothing wrong. So, if you're out there right now carrying someone else's secret, one that belongs to a person you claim to love, I want you to really think about what you're choosing. Because silence isn't neutral, silence is a decision, and the person you're protecting by staying quiet might be sitting somewhere right now, smiling at you, completely unaware that their whole world is built on a lie. Tell the truth, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. If this story hit you the way it hit me, share it. Because somewhere out there is someone who needs to hear that walking away from toxic loyalty is not the same as giving up on love, that rebuilding your life from scratch is not failure, that you are allowed, always, to choose your own peace. Drop a comment below. I want to know, what would you have done? Would you have opened that letter? Would you have gone back at all? And if you're new here, welcome. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell because we tell stories like this every week. Real ones, messy ones, the kind that remind you that you are never as alone in your situation as you think you are. Take care of yourselves and take care of the people who actually show up for you. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. That means more than you know.